Google. Let's go get him again.
Welcome back to the Robedoy channel. I'm your host, Mark, and welcome to an unboxing first impression video on my channel. We are delving into a flanker of Yves Saint Laurent's possibly most daring, should I say crazy release in the men's side, which is of course this bottle right here, King Kouros from the 80s. And I have my bottle here with the silver shoulders, as they call it. This one right here, let's say a classic in the men's game. Really one that is polarizing. Definitely something that I would recommend for someone if you're really interested in this fragrance thing, like getting deep into it. Not somebody like into compliments and stuff, but someone that's really looking at the rich history of fragrances and kind of wants to go into the classic modes and just see where the stepping stones were in our fragrance industry in the 80s. Definitely King Kouros was one of those stepping stones personally. This one right here is my very first flanker of the brand. I do have Body Kouros right here, my old school Body Kouros bottle. I really don't see Body Kouros as a flanker of Kouros. I know it took the name, but I feel like it's its own standalone release, and that might be because of my journey. I actually bought Body Kouros early on in my journey when this wasn't really on my radar. I was really early in my fragrance journey, and you get into those stepping stones, and then you start looking at some of the classics and kind of see this one right here. I feel like it's its own standalone. So you can call it a flanker, and I'd kind of agree, yeah, sure. But this is more of a flanker of Kouros, and this one called Kouros Cologne Sport. And it is an EDC concentration, so it is going to be a thin fragrance. This was released in the midst of this whole, and I was like in the middle of it too in my YouTube young career, where all these brands started releasing sports. And honestly, that whole sport thing really went, and it really kind of goes with how a name can be so influential on an industry like this. It's kind of mind-boggling that people just piggyback on, the first couple sports started selling very, very well, and it's obviously marketing, and how much the rest of the designer brands follow suit. They just kind of use their top sellers, their better sellers. And I'm not saying Kouros was a really good seller back then, but if they were releasing a new release for a line, we'll say, they immediately went to sport. And in the early 2000s, anybody that was in the industry back then, kind of like when I started my YouTube journey, we were getting sick of sports. Like every brand had like 3 or 4 of these. Like every line that they released had a sport, and really a lot of them, they were fresher versions, but honestly, it had really nothing. Like a lot of them weren't really that sporty, we'll say. So anyway, it just kind of goes to show you. And right now, like in the fragrance industry, Elixir is in its early stages of naming. Some brands did really well with Elixir, and now honestly, when they were releasing sports, the one thing that's different now than back in the day, when you were releasing a sport flanker of a version of a fragrance, it didn't affect the price tag. Even some of them were actually cheaper a little bit. These elixirs, just because it works so well for some brands to price up, make less juice, so they're making so much more profit off you because of a name. That's it. So it's so influential, and these elixirs, they're gonna go for another 2 to 5, several years. If it keeps working, brands are going to still be releasing these. So this release right here, going back to it, was made by none other. I just did a little bit of research. Francis K. Monsieur Lamal himself. So a great all-star perfumier attached to this fragrance. So this may be a start of a collection. I know Kouros has a ton of flankers. A lot of them are obviously discontinued, hard to find, but that's almost like my bread and butter. I absolutely love digging through the crates of the fragrance industry, going through eBay, Facebook sellers, mom and pop shops that just started a online presence, and they have these just kicking around. This is what I love doing in the fragrance game, and this kind of goes into that. This was one of those that if this goes well, I may start collecting these Kouroses. Why not? We are going to see. Now, going on to where I got this. And I did want to thank the brand because they reached out to me. It was purefumani.net, and I will put the link down below. I do have a coupon code because we were speaking. To anybody that wants this bottle or likes digging into the crates, this is a mom and pop shop. They do ship across the world, worldwide, so you don't have to worry about restrictions. Their prices are a reflection of discontinued fragrances, so don't go clicking on that thinking you're going to find something like this for 20, 30 bucks. It is going to reflect, we'll say, eBay prices, which we all know are expensive. So but they do have these vintage scents that may be very hard to find. So if you're not afraid of paying a premium, like me sometimes, this is a good site to have in your back pocket just in case for vintage scents. So they do have a coupon code. They're really nice to offer me one that is my YouTube name, Robes, but instead of 08 it's going to be 10 for 10% off of anything on the site. That is going to last until March 8th, 2024. So there is a week of you to take a look at what they have available. That 10% will help, especially with these type of pricings. Or maybe you'll find something that is kind of crazy that you've been looking for a very, very long time. But you're going to need that coupon code because these are rare, hard to find scents, and it's made just for a small portion of the community, like me, people like me, that you may be looking for something for over 20 years, you couldn't find it, eBay was kind of crazy, and you can't find it anywhere. You may want to pay that premium price. So that's where I am with that kind of site. Just to give you a heads up, this is not for everybody. So let's get to unboxing. So this is going to be my scent of the day today. I do have my strip right behind my Kouroses here, my two vintage Kouroses, with of course this one. As you can tell, it is not cellophane wrapped. So that is, again, one thing, just if you're going on this site, the person that runs this, again, it's mom and pop shop. I'll be quite clear, there's not a million workers here. They do have an Instagram, and that's where they contacted me. This is a great way to contact them before you purchase something and just see if it's cellophane wrapped, it's brand new in box, is it a tester, things like that. Again, mom and pop shop, so there's little things here and there. And the first thing I see here is a totally different look here, but it has a little bit of the Kouros DNA. I see, you know, those silver shoulders that I have in the YSL logo on the original here. So really, obviously transparent, Kouros Cologne Sport, EDC, so it's Eau de Cologne. Yeah, so very interesting. This one doesn't have a cap, it's built in. It's like the 1 million flankers type of thing. So let's delve into it. Let's smell this thing and see what we get. And great atomizer, wow. So let's sniff it on strip. Ooh, you get, oh yeah. So you get that, you get a little bit of that Kouros freshness, a lot more citruses in here. So there's a thinness to this fragrance, but it really does pull, not a lot, but a little bit. Like you're not going to mistake this from being a completely different flanker that you blindfold me and you say, is this a Kouros flanker or not? And you're kind of like, I don't know. This has that floral. It does have some differences, obviously, from the original. Obviously, that thing is potent, crazy, but it's a simpler take. But it does have that floral, soapy, green floral thing going on with a soapy quality, a little bit of a citrusy take. Much more modern, obviously, but again, this was released in 2003, I believe. Again, Francis K. Transparent, like if I had to compare this to that one, I would say much less potent, much more transparent, a little more modern, but it still has that classic feel to it. Like, I'm not going to recommend this to teeny boppers, but guys my age, right, late 30s, early 40s and higher, if you like this but you're looking for something a little more cleaner, a little more approachable, like off the strip here, this is nice. Is it a sport flanker? I don't know. I think it's much more versatile than a sport thing. Like I could wear this probably playing tennis or something. You know, you're not going to be playing basketball wearing Kouros Cologne Sport. Well, maybe you could. So I'm going to wear this as my scent of the day today. There it is. And yeah. Yeah, it has... It has the beautiful citruses up top. Very thin. You can tell that they're going to go away really quickly. And this is discontinued, by the way, obviously. But it has a floral, white floral. It's got jasmine in here. It also has a cyclamen, which gives the fragrance, and again, jasmine can do this, a green, almost like lilies floral. But it has a soapy quality too, like a white, like bar of soap type of idea. So that's where it goes, kind of goes into classic vibes. But the citruses are really modern, like really well done. So it's a simpler, thinner release, which of course, if you're thinking sport, that's what you're going to be getting. It lost a lot of the personality from the original, so don't think that. It just takes a little bit of it. Close cousin, not like a brother or sister, like a cousin. It's not your conventional sport flanker. Obviously, I have probably hundreds of them because I started really getting into fragrances in the sport game. Not that sport was my favorite flanker. It was not. It was actually the flankers I absolutely hated. But they were flankering up some of my favorite fragrances during that time, and I bought those. So, but it's not your conventional. This is more, this could be a signature scent for somebody going to work. It doesn't have that oomph that the original has, that people would be like, soapy, airy, almost has a watery aspect, but that kind of goes with the florals, green, versatile, wearable, more modern, lighter Kouros. That's basically what I'm getting here. A little bit of, I know there's cedar in here, so there's a little bit of a woody aspect, very light. You know what? I really like this one. And I didn't know where I was going to go with this one, but I like it. It's not like, you know, top of the range for me as far as summer or spring type fragrances. But you know what? I wouldn't mind wearing this, you know, middle of spring, summer. If you're going into the office, like this could be your signature scent. Honestly, I don't see anything wrong with that. It has some versatility to it. It's not just really a splash on citrusy. It has a backbone to it. I'm really interested because this is an EDC and it's doing well on my skin right now. It's not as thin as your typical, you know, an Hermes EDC or something like that, that are really thin and they last for like 2 hours and they're gone. I really feel like this one might have like a little bit of legs to it, we'll say. I'm looking for that dirtiness that the original has. It really doesn't punch up like that. I mean, it really has a little bit of that interesting DNA. There's a musky backbone, which may bring you to that. Yeah, wearable, highly versatile, interesting release. Really, this kind of piques my interest. I'm really happy to have it just because, first of all, I wanted this particular flanker because Francis K developed it. He was one of my favorite perfumiers of all time. He can make freshies and interesting releases, and I kind of wanted to see what he was going to do with Kouros and Sport and all that. And this is a huge part of my journey in fragrances that I love, you know, sharing with all of you. This is something that's just me as a true frag head. You don't have too many fragrance reviewers. To all of them that do that review fragrances like this, that are not going to get clicks and stuff like that. Those are your true connoisseurs, your true lovers of fragrances. I'd put myself in that category because this is not something, it probably has like one video on YouTube. I'm going to add to it two now. It's a fragrance that is very interesting. And it's not that expensive. Like, you've seen a lot of discontinued flankers of like revered stuff like this that could go up to $300, $400, $500. This isn't around, like, you could probably find this. And again, you know, I'm judging it versus a lot of other stuff that have went crazy, and really bad flankers that are like $300. Like, I don't know, like a Gucci by Gucci made to measure. Like that flanker, like, I'm looking for it because I want to finish my collection. People are asking $300, $400 for that thing. not a chance. But this is like around under 200. I'd say you're safe. Don't go any higher than that. You know, 150, 125. That's your little area, I think, for this one, which is like basically less than a designer release right now. But yeah, now that you heard my take, I'd love to see yours in the comments below. I know a lot of people probably haven't smelt this, but if you have, it'd be great to see, you know, good or bad, you agree, disagree with me, love it. Again, it's just a first impression from me. Anybody that has a lot, and I know maybe some of my subs have a lot of experience with the Kouros line and its flankers, please drop them in the comments below. Tell me which one I should go next. You know, there's a tattoo version, there's a fraîcheur version, eau fraîcheur, I think. Among others, there's several little flankers of this release, and I may delve into it. You know, it takes me years. You know, I'm all over the place in this fragrance game, so love to see those comments. And as always, a great pour fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your sport version wisely. Thanks for watching, YouTube. Have a good one.